they don't give a crap about you, and they don't care at all how many followers you have.
You know what's so funny is like these are all tactics that I know and have used for other creators, and then I look at my own business and I'm like, what do I do? Like that particular one, I'm like, why did I not think of that?
I think I've solved your problem.
Yeah, I mean, you might have.
Welcome back to another public sponsorship coaching call. I'm here with my buddy Avi, and he's going to share a bit about his business.
Awesome. Yeah. So I write about the creator economy on LinkedIn. I have a newsletter called Creator Logic. And my background is that I've been in the creator economy for about 15 years on the business side. I was a talent agent at William Morris, which is one of the big 3 talent agencies, one of the first talent agents representing creators back in the Vine days. It's going to date me a little bit. And yeah, I've been a producer. I built a production company for Jimmy Kimmel's company Wheelhouse, where we were producing podcasts and YouTube channels for big creators. And then I led the creator partnerships team at Patreon. And so, you know, I've been in the space working with creators of all sizes, helping them make money for a long time in a variety of ways. And now I share kind of the knowledge that I've gained doing that over 15 years with creators, with the industry. And so from a business perspective, you know, I have a few different revenue streams, a few different lines of business. You want to get into that now?
Yeah, let's do it, man. So tell me, like when you reached out to me a couple weeks ago, you were like, help me, help me make money with sponsorships, or just generally think through like how you're going to market with your business and things like that. So were there things that were top of mind in terms of opportunities you think you're leaving on the table, or what?
Yes. So, you know, my core business is consulting. I have a consulting firm. I do some advisory myself. And so my firm consults with mostly creator economy companies and companies that want to be working with creators or be in the creator economy in some way. We do go-to-market strategy and execution. And that's great. You know, that's driven largely by, you know, a combination of my relationships and LinkedIn, where, you know, people see my content, see my posts. Maybe I post about, you know, something about like, oh, you know, here's some challenges around making deals with big creators, and they're like, oh, I'm having those challenges right now, and then they'll reach out to me, and you know, have a partner running that business. So that's like going fairly well. But what I'm trying to figure out how to grow is my, you know, content business, like content as the product, right? And so I have a newsletter, and you know, there's a company I work with called The Future Party that like does sales for ad spots on the newsletter, and you know, they're doing fairly well. I get a few sponsorships every couple of months there, but LinkedIn is what I really want to figure out. Okay, you know, I've gotten a sponsorship. I've gotten one fairly big sponsorship, year long. With a company called TubeBuddy, which has been going great, and you know, that's going through November, and I want to do more like that. Okay, and the challenge I think for me is I've got about 10,000 followers, which, you know, from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram world, that's nothing. But LinkedIn distribution isn't like that, right? Like LinkedIn distribution is more targeted, and I would argue that the customer or the audience is higher value because it's B2B. They're like decision makers. You know, a lot of my followers are founders. They're executives. They're people that control budget, and so I'm just trying to figure out, like, well, one more piece of information there that might be valuable, which is right now on LinkedIn, I think creators are heavily underpriced. And so it's a great opportunity for brands right now if they're just buying, you know, based on, you know, views or whatever, because like creators are charging like, you know, literally like a cent on the dollar. You know, I think that the rule of thumb a lot of creators are using is like 1 to 3 cents per follower, which is like,
I remember some of those calculations from way back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's bananas. So, you know, like creators with big, you know, like, following that, you know, metric, I would be charging $100 for a post. Right. But like, you know, I'm an executive. Like, I don't want $100. Right. You know, like I want like real revenue, and I want to be able to provide real value, right? And so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like, if it's conversion based, unless, you know, it's like a, I don't know, big ticket like SaaS product, like, you know, then maybe I am like a LTV to CAC positive when you think about, you know, sales. But like, how do I position myself to create value beyond that? Because LinkedIn isn't a visual platform. It's a written platform largely. You know, the audience scale is different. These are all things that I'm maybe rambling a little bit, but that's kind of my.
Okay, so first question is, you have this external partner that's helping with your ad sales for your newsletter. Is that a relationship that you want to continue, or is that the first thing I want to diagnose is that like one of the largest opportunities is when you're talking with some of these brands, whether it's a prospective consulting client or brands that you want to partner with on the content side, is cross-selling, is like understanding all the different assets that you have and being able to diagnose like, hey, it sounds like you're trying to accomplish this thing. Well, for that goal, the best tactic for us to help you accomplish that is the newsletter, or it's the LinkedIn strategy, or it's something like this. And so it becomes somewhat challenging to do a bespoke model like that when you don't control ad sales for all of your channels. So that's the first. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing that.
Yeah,
but
totally.
But this is the first place I want to go.
Totally. So I do want to continue with them, but I have the right to sell.
You do. Okay. So they don't have the exclusive right.
They don't have the exclusive right. I can sell. I mean, I would cut them in on a portion. So if I did a multi-platform deal, I would just cut them in on the portion that's allocated for the newsletter.
Okay,
because they also do the operations. And all that stuff.
Okay.
So there's value provided there as well.
Okay. So that's good. So you have that ability to cross sell into the newsletter, which is big. So I think just like on a whole, like your intuition around there being underpriced attention on LinkedIn is definitely true. I've had some LinkedIn creators, like I've worked with them, gone through my program and stuff like that. And, I think the tide is turning though, for sure. Like, especially with LinkedIn acknowledging and creating creator tools to help people actually grow an audience on LinkedIn and stuff. It's definitely a thing now, for sure.
Right.
And so number one question is like, did that TubeBuddy deal come inbound, or is that something you pitched?
So I think it wasn't like an inbound offer. What happened was the former CMO reached out to me on LinkedIn because I was posting. I was like, hey, we should work together somehow.
Yeah.
And, this was when I was pretty early. I mean, I think I had maybe 10,000 followers. I think I got the number. I have 20,000 followers now, but I think it was back when I had like around 10,000 followers. Oh, actually less. I think I was at like 7 or 8. It was like last October or September. And I pitched him basically like a combination of like, posts plus like a little bit of consulting. It was actually started out as a much bigger deal, and then the company had, some like budget restructuring stuff.
Right.
So, I was able to actually save it. It was going to go away.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how about instead of doing all these things for, five figures a month, let's do fewer things for, mid 4 figures a month, right? Which is a lot of money. That's great. I was very happy to save it, and I'm very happy to have this deal and do that.
Right.
I want more of them.
Right.
But, it was him reaching out saying, how can we work together? And me sort of pitching like, well, there's not a lot of talk about you all in the industry community. They have a lot of creators that use them, but nobody really talks about them. So I was like, I can maybe spark some of that and spark some of these conversations. Tell your story probably better than you can.
Yeah.
And then, if you want to pick my brain once in a while, like consulting, I don't really want to do as much of. I have a partner who runs that side of the business, and I want to make the content, and I want to be talking about the space and educating people.
Right.
And that resonated with him. He pushed the deal forward and through, and then the company's gone through several rounds of layoffs. He left.
Okay.
Now, most recently, the partners I was working with left, and I'm still working with them.
Yeah.
I just have a new person there, and
Sure.
we're figuring that out, and
Right.
and I want to continue to work with them,
Yeah.
and so hopefully that keeps working out. But I want to get more partnerships like this. Like I actually have been enjoying this partnership. So.
Hey, just a quick heads up, my in-person event, Sponsor Games, is happening March 15th to the 18th, 2026 in San Antonio, Texas. It's the only event in the world where you can practice your sponsorship pitch, do real-time negotiation role play, connect with other creators landing 4- and 5-figure brand deals, and potentially win our cash grand prize. Here's what Doc Williams had to say about where his business was at before attending Sponsor Games.
I just felt defeated. I didn't know how to talk to brands confidently. I hadn't closed any long-term deal, and I felt disillusioned. I was like, I don't think I can really make money on sponsors, but if I can win the games, I can can make money off of that. And then going out, I was like, this feels sustainable. This feels like I can actually do this with my business long term.
Any big wins that you can share after the event?
I mean, pretty much all my deals. Like afterwards, I was like, we've done multiple 15K deals. And friends of mine, when I told them about like, you just have to do this. My friend, he's always complaining, no one hits him up, blah, 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 blah. He'd never made more than $500 from a sponsor. I was like, just do this method. I was like, read this. And he closed him at 35K for 6 events. He's a local creator in a small town. And it was just because of that one thing in the bio.
So if you want to have the same transformation that Doc and his friend had, go to sponsorgames.com to grab your ticket. We're capping it at 75 creators this year. And actually, I forgot to tell you the craziest part. Every single meal is catered. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. We're basically blowing a huge chunk of the budget on amazing food. So what are you even waiting for? Go to sponsorgames.com to grab your spot.
Like for better or for worse, a lot of partnerships that we've inked over the years have been like that, where it's like they evolved pretty organically, and then we met them at a conference, or we met them somewhere, whatever, or they came inbound from something. And those are always nice, for sure. Like those are great because it's like shooting fish in a barrel, basically, right?
Yeah.
But and this is something we've talked about before, is that like the reliable, recurring type deals that you're seeking, I think will definitely require a concerted outbound strategy.
Right.
And part of it obviously is like you have to, have a foundational layer of like a platform, a portfolio worth partnering with, of course. So in the background, you're still pumping out the content and doing all that. But it's like getting in front of your ideal prospects while maybe a bit uncomfortable. Maybe not for you, since you have a sales background and confidence and all that.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at selling.
Yeah.
I think, and I threw an event here at VidCon, and I brought in enough sponsors that like I'm actually making money on an event, which like nobody really ever makes money on an event.
Dope.
So
yeah.
I'm like that.
Thanks for the invite, by the way.
It was fun.
Can actually, real quickly, I just want to interrupt you. I want to give a big shout out to Avi, because I would not be speaking here at VidCon was it not for you. No, honestly though, this dude, let me just quickly tell you, I have applied to speak at VidCon for probably 5 years in a row, gotten rejected every time. And then I told Avi, I was like, dude, what's the secret, man, for speaking at VidCon? He's like, oh, I'll just like put in a good word for you. And then like the next day, my application got approved. So you have the Midas touch, I think.
Well, I think you're offering something that I think a lot of creators here will find valuable. So I think once they pulled their heads up for air and saw it, they're like, "Oh, this is obvious. Yeah, we should do that."
But I appreciate it, man. Go on though. But you're good at sales. Like you can.
Yeah, so I can sell. I think my challenge here is like, what I haven't been able to do well is figure out the right angle to position myself, given my size, given my audience, the right angle to position myself to companies to pay me the amount that I want or would be okay taking for a sponsored post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the angle that's the challenge for me, because I keep fumbling through it. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to tell your story better than you do to the industry. It's like, well, but like I've been ahead of sales.
Yeah.
So like, and I've been, worked with finance, and I know the process. They're going to go back internally, and some, number cruncher is going to say, well, what's the ROI on this? What's the LTV to CAC on this? And like, what I'm struggling with is like, how do I answer that? How do I give that to them in the pitch?
Okay, so let's do a working example here. So like, do you have like a top brand or top 2 brands or something in mind that you think, oh man, that would be a dream partnership to work with them? Is there one that like jumps to mind for you?
I mean, there's one that like probably wouldn't really work because it's completely out of my space.
Just hit it. Just shoot it.
Hokas. I'm wearing Hokas right now. I would love to work with Hokas. Yeah.
That would be maybe a little bit more challenging. Given your content vertical.
Yeah,
but you said it, and I applaud you for that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's say like in the creator economy scope, of, like the type of brand that you would think of.
YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube.
Okay. And what would you say would be an angle that you think you'd want to pitch them?
Well, like I think it's that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. So I was just in a panel over here with Todd, who runs like product management, the algorithm stuff, and Renee Ritchie, who's the creator liaison, and I was listening to I think it was called Algorithm Unlocked or something like that was the panel name. And they were talking about, dispelling myths about the algorithm and all that stuff too. And so one initiative that they're definitely talking about a lot with the creator liaison and a lot of the content that they're putting out in the education hub and on their channels and stuff like that is this type of kind of myth dispelling. It's like a whole content series around like, no, it's actually not like that. It's like this, this type of idea. And it seems to me at least that this is like a concerted initiative for them, a concerted initiative.
Okay.
And so one angle, I'm making this up, but based on what I heard here from the panel,
totally.
One initiative could be basically what I just said, which is like, it seems like a big, goal of YouTube for, this year and beyond is ensuring that creators have the right information about what they should be focusing on at any given time. It's not this, it's CTR, and it's, watch time, and it's retention, whatever the things are. That really resonates with me because of XYZ. In fact, I talk a lot on LinkedIn about behind the scenes strategies that creators can employ to grow their businesses, and, with creator logic and all, it's blah, 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 blah. And so it's a positioning exercise where it's like you speculate what you think is important to them based on an article you read or a panel you heard or something. I actually think this is maybe a pretty good pitch. Because
it fits right in with what I write about.
Yeah, it fits right in with what you write about. And I came out with that right here because I was just on a panel here. Right. But it's like, it's that mindset of like, what are they allocating resources for, whether it's personnel, time, or money? What does it seem like they're allocating resources for? And it's an inference, right? It's like I don't know if this is like a huge priority for them to the point where they would want to spend money on hiring external partners to help with this. I don't know. But that initiative that you take, coming to them with this creative idea, the point is that you gave them something tangible that they could react to, and then say, that's interesting, not really something we do, but I like what you're saying here. This other thing, actually, maybe we could work on that.
Right.
And so I would look at the positioning as much of a foot in the door as it is to make sure that this pitch is like airtight. Does that make sense?
Yes. So it sounds like you're saying, which I read your content, watch your videos, so you've said this before, and you start with what they want. It's not about me. It's not about the content I make.
But they really don't care about you telling their brand story in a better way.
Right.
I mean that sounds nice, but not really money they'd allocate for something like that. Right. A lot of creative agencies give them that same pitch. Right. Not creators. It's like, hey, let us be your agency of record or freelance creative agency, and we'll tell your brand story in a more compelling way. It's like, it's a very unique angle that you have, because not only are you a good storyteller, but you have organic distribution, right? Which is one of the biggest benefits of, I call it like, you're kind of like a production company in a box, right? You can do a lot of different things, and you've got the podcast, you've got the newsletter, you've got a lot of things. And I really do think that like doubling down on this unique audience that you've built, the psychographics around it being more of a professional, either whether it's a professional creator, industry folks,
it's like their
makers,
managers, their producers, the channel managers, the strategists, the COOs, the platform, like all those people.
Right.
It's a really, so if I could extrapolate from that. So YouTube, it sounds like you're trying to educate creators on like platform algorithms and how things work, dispel a lot of the myths. You're probably already doing that on YouTube through like Colin and Samir and John Yoshai and like all these other sort of meta creators that you work with. But there's all these people that surround these creators that aren't necessarily spending all their time on YouTube. They're probably on LinkedIn. Are you telling that story through LinkedIn? I write about XYZ that are related to that. You use math. I break it down. I do a lot of myth dispelling, and I reach those people.
Right. And I mean, that's an exact positioning that I think is fantastic. And then you take it to the next level, which is, I would love to do XYZ for you. I would love to do 5 LinkedIn posts. I would love to do some newsletter insertions. I would love to have Todd on my Creator Logic podcast or whatever, right? It's something. Boom, 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 boom.
There's always a Todd.
Happy to share some results of a recent partnership with TubeBuddy. Are you free on Thursday at 10 a.m. to talk?
Okay, so it like start with what they need.
So it's
talk about how I fit. Propose specifics. This
is my rope pitching method. It's Your pitch has to be relevant to a campaign they're either currently working on or have run in the past.
Right.
O stands for organic, so that you can tie your pitch back to organic work that you've already published that illustrates that your audience has an existing affinity for their product or their service and things like that.
So like send a link or a couple
And then
links,
you send a
one
link to a LinkedIn post that you made where it's semi-relevant to like,
Yeah,
you know,
like a
I
myth
also write in
dispelling.
Creator Logic about this, and you link it,
Right.
The specific article.
Right.
And then P is proof, so, you know, linking mentioning the TubeBuddy partnership, and then E is easy to execute. So you're saying, I'm going to do this. And if you use that very simple framework, regardless of the brand that you want to pitch. I will say one other thing though, which is that I love the shooting for the stars with YouTube and Hoka and all that. But I also do think that there's like maybe a tier 2
Totally.
level of brand.
Totally. I mean, you said
No. I did.
You
You're right. I did say the dream brand.
Yeah.
I definitely said the dream brand.
Yeah, more likely it's like companies that are trying to. Well, actually, I'll take a step back. My concern with the smaller companies actually is that often, especially if they're startups, they tend to be highly focused on ROI and LTV to CAC, right? Which is lifetime value.
False. I think it's false.
You don't think so?
I don't think that's true. Yes, of course, in the beginning, if they're like extremely bootstrapped and they're pinching every penny, that's totally true. But I think the moment that you get, definitely Series A, maybe even Seed Plus, there is a broadening of the perspective where they've hope that they've found product market fit,
right.
And now they're like, okay, let's go raise the Series A and go to really go to market and go scale this thing. And so they start entertaining, at least in my experience, they start entertaining more awareness-focused campaigns that aren't necessarily just conversion-focused. And I talk about the 3 different campaign goals that brands will have. Yes, conversion is one of them. It's my ARC framework, ARC. So yes, awareness, right, where it's just spreading the word, getting a groundswell of support. Repurposing. This is a big one even for you though that I think could be interesting.
Yeah.
Where they'd want to, let's say, maybe take some of the articles that you're writing on LinkedIn or for your newsletter or something and repurpose it, put it on their company blog,
right?
Or maybe run paid advertising with clips of you interviewing their head of research on your podcast or something.
Right.
Run paid advertising with that. That's a non-trivial cost.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about including. Because I actually do repurposing as like co-promotion stuff. Like there's some companies who have like big newsletters, and I'm like, you can send some of my articles if you want, just link back to me, so I could grow but like including that in a paid offering actually is not something I'd considered.
100%, because like knowing how you use math and breaking down the numbers is like a big part of it. You could even say like, what's your SEO strategy?
Right.
Startup X. What are the 10? Here's the 10 long tail keywords I think you should be ranking for this very niche, creator economy SaaS tool that you have that's targeting this particular type of vertical or something. Here's the 10 keywords I think you should rank for. I can this article that I'm going to write for the newsletter talking about your brand, I can get you some tweaked versions of this that are optimized to try to rank for those keywords that you can post on your company blog, right? And so like. But it's about understanding their objectives. If they don't say that that's something that they're excited about, again, this is a question you're asking them on that initial discovery call. Like, tell me what's the priority. Like, what's your content strategy? What's your owned strategy versus your external partner strategy and things like that. And then you just watch for the glimmer in their eye. What does it seem like they get excited about?
Right.
And then pivot your proposal based on that. And then the biggest mistake that I think a lot of people make, especially if they have a very large audience on one platform in particular, like you on LinkedIn, is that they just try to cram that in every proposal. Like, work with me on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
because that's my primary strategy. And what I would suggest to you is that you should be as equally jazzed about them partnering with you on one of your ancillary platforms,
right.
Than doing a sponsored post on LinkedIn.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Right. Money is green to some degree.
Yeah. No,
right.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And so I think it's just a matter of like that agility to be on those calls. They may come inbound for one thing off that initial pitch, and saying like, oh, and then you have the conversation.
Right.
And you're like, I thought that this thing I pitched initially was going to be the best for you, but on second thought, I think this other thing's going to be better.
So on the ARC framework, then, we're talking about like R is obviously a fit for me. C might be a fit for like a B2B company that's like selling, I don't know, some SaaS product that a startup needs, right? But
or something that has a really high LTV,
right.
or AOV.
Right.
Right. Maybe it's a enterprise subscription to some
Exactly.
analytics tool or something that's like 10 grand or something.
Exactly. I mean, that I've done like pure referral basis and made good, probably at this point like 30 grand just like referring that.
So why is that not your main strategy then? To go after some of those higher ticket type referral partners and turn those into hybrid deals where it's a combination of a base upfront fee for ongoing content promotion and then a reduced kicker on the back end.
Justin, I don't know. That
would be the first place I would go. If you have some existing relationships, and I won't blow up your spot because I know a few of them that you've worked with, but like that would be the first place I would go. I would be like, hey, I've loved working with you. I've loved sending folks your way, and I would love to be louder about your services on an ongoing basis. How about we negotiate a deal where you're paying me $5 grand a month plus, instead of this, whatever the percentage is that you're paying me commission, it's going to be 10% or 15% or something like that.
Right.
Kind of a win-win from their perspective because they get the ongoing, there's like an incentive, a performance incentive, but they have this like little champion out there kind of shouting them from the rooftops consistently on one of their core, where their core decision makers are on LinkedIn, which is where your biggest platform is.
What's so funny is like these are all tactics that I know and have used for other creators, and then I look at my own business and I'm like, what do I do?
Man,
not all of them, but that particular one, I'm like, yeah, obviously I should. Why did I not think of that? Like, I obviously should do like a combo upfront plus like back end. It's like, it's like much different when you're thinking about yourself. I feel like sometimes,
dude. I think part of the other thing too is that like, you have a leg up, I think, over a lot of people because you have a sales mindset. You've been doing this for a long time, and so diagnosing, given that you have the consulting arm too, it's kind of the trifecta, right? You've got the distribution, you've got the content, and you've got the ability to do consulting with your partner, right? And so, man, that to me, if I would look at this as like I can be a kind of a one-stop shop for solving a lot of problems for some of these creator economy companies. Whether it's a go-to-market challenge, whether it's a reach and awareness content distribution challenge, paid advertising challenge, there's all these different ways in which I think you could serve them, and I think you should just be steering them, every person, to kind of the best fit for what their particular ailment is. And I think that the real goal is like, okay, let me go create a targeted list of like 10, 20 brands that I think would be, just using this new kind of framework, would just be a killer fit, regardless of whether it's content or consulting or, whatever it is. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to pitch them and see what happens, right? And have a conversation with them. And those deals are all going to be very different. And I think you'll surprise yourself, man. I think, honestly, if you, dude, you could even do something so simple. You could literally make a post on LinkedIn saying that you are actively looking for partners. Have you ever done that?
So I did it for this event, but I have not done it just generally.
Okay, so normally I don't recommend this usually, like to this on the nose, but for someone like you, because your audience literally is the decision makers of the people that you would want to partner with, doing a very simple, this is how I would position it. I would get permission from TubeBuddy to create a case study.
Okay.
I would say, okay, I'm going to do this case study. You don't have to reveal any proprietary conversion or sales numbers or whatever. You could just do kind of a recap of like, I've been so fortunate and thrilled to have partnered with TubeBuddy for the last 3 months. When they initially came to me, tell your story, how you normally do. You're great at this, right?
Yeah.
I met the CMO and blah, 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 led to this amazing partnership and blah, 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 blah. And here was the results. I'm absolutely, I loved it. And I'm really looking to do more of this. If you are, a decision maker or a brand who is trying to do X, Y, Z, the things we just discussed, shoot me a DM. I almost guarantee you that will shake loose leads.
Yes. No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right.
You should do that.
Yeah, I should do that. And I'm going to do that, I think. Yeah.
And then we'll come back and record part 2 and being like, or maybe you'll just send me a video and you'll be like, Justin, thank you for recommending it.
Yeah, whichever one you prefer. Yeah.
So one thing you mentioned at the top is around the struggle with like pricing and feeling as though it's hard to command the rates that you'd want to on a nascent platform like LinkedIn.
Yes, and also it feels like because it's written and not video, But I think to your like the point with like repurposing, you know, for example, like, you know, using it in their blogs or their newsletters, like I haven't actually pitched that as part of the package, you know. Like my pitches have really largely been like I've skipped the R, and I've skipped the R on both sides actually, right? Like I need to really do more about, I think, looking at their programs and what they're doing and thinking, okay, how am I already talking about this? How could I be talking about this and like positioning it for them?
They don't give a crap about you.
Right.
And they don't care at all how many followers you have.
Right. And frankly, I don't have that many.
And that,
followers.
well, I mean, I think that just remembering that and having that humility is so important with this type of stuff because, like, you know, brands, they're living day in and day out being like, how are we going to make our boss happy with this, like, initiative that we've been, like, charged with, right? And so if you can come inbound and they've got, you know, already have allocated budget to, like, accomplish that,
right,
their decision becomes, instead of like, let's create a whole new budget for this guy that we don't have, and I have to go stick my neck out, and I don't even really know this dude that well.
Right.
They say, oh, we've already got $50K for this. What if we slid like $20K to Avi? Because it seems like he's going to help us accomplish this goal that we were charged with.
Right.
And so that's the whole game, is like, what is important to them.
Right.
And just ensuring that you can wrap your pitch around that relevancy.
Right. And so understand what's important to them, but also kind of understand what they're doing and how I could slot into that, right? To like, how does the repurposing fit? Like, where can my content go that they're like, do they have a newsletter? Could I fit into that? Are they trying to do content on LinkedIn? Could I fit in that? Like, what are the, you know?
You know, one other thing that I think is pretty interesting is the use of like polls on LinkedIn in particular. Because some of that it's public, right?
Yeah.
In terms of you know,
I never thought about pitching a poll either.
Yeah,
That's like,
so polls, getting pulse checks on, you know, what general sentiment of things. One thing I did, I was recently at the Craft and Commerce conference in Boise, Idaho, and they created this like pop-up community on Mighty Networks for their conference, and I was just playing around with the community. And so a couple days before the conference, I threw up a poll in the community. I was like, oh, I can't wait to come to the conference. Like, just quick pulse check. Like, where are you at with your current, you know, with sponsorships? What percentage of your revenue does it usually like already represent?
Yeah, totally.
And so I got a bunch of responses, and the responses were public, meaning that I could click through and see who answered what.
Yeah.
And so it was like 0 to 25% was like, oh Lord, help me, Justin. Yeah, like, I was being like funny about it. But you know, so I think maybe about 50 people responded to that. And after the conference was over, I went and I individually DM'd every single person who voted based on, and I recommended they do a specific action based on how they voted.
Right.
So if they said they voted, oh Lord, help me, Justin, I said, hey, here's a link to my free masterclass. If you want to, here's my course. If you want to hire me for coaching, here's the link. And people were like, dang, thank you so. They were like so appreciative.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think from a lead generation perspective, that could be pretty interesting too for you.
Yeah.
Which is like using polls and you know, potentially reaching out to some of those leads who are like, you know, interacting and engaging with your LinkedIn polls and seeing like, hey, you voted XYZ. You know, here's
because I've done that for like events, for example. Right. You know, trying to figure out, should I host an event at VidCon? Should I host an event for the holidays? Like, I put up a poll, and then I'm like, oh, okay, you know, 80% of people said yes, and there's 200 responses, and okay, I'm gonna do an event. Didn't even occur to me to try to do something like that for sponsors, but like that makes total sense. And a lot of the sponsor buyers are on LinkedIn. It's the professional platform.
Mm-hmm. I think I've solved your problem.
Yeah, I mean, you might have. You might have.
Look, man. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's just about, I think, just sitting down and carving out time in your schedule to do this.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get sucked into the content hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I got to make the next LinkedIn post. I got to do this. And so, like, the prospect of pitching sponsors can become sometimes distasteful because it's like, you know, it's not as guaranteed as like the dopamine hit that we get when we make the next LinkedIn post, you know? So
totally.
I think just carving out part of, you know, you need money to fund, to make a better business, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, allocating time in your schedule to do this, whether it's once every 2 weeks or whatever, I think that's all it'll take.
Yeah, no, and I think it's helpful. I feel like for a VidCon event, for example, I didn't really have to think about relevancy because, like, if you're a creator economy company, you're going to be at VidCon.
Yeah.
You want to get in front of creators. I'm doing a creator party. Like, it sells itself.
Right.
But what I do on LinkedIn isn't as straightforward. And so I think understanding, that YouTube example is like absolutely perfect. It's like they are trying to convince people, or not convince people. Sorry, YouTube. Yeah. They're trying to educate creators on things, and like that's what I do. I educate creators on creator economy concepts. So that's the angle to go to. And so who are the companies that are trying to educate creators on X, Y, Z, and then slide into that. That's, I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I think we should cheers the mics. All right,
Boom.
mic drop.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Tell us where people can learn more about Creator Logic and follow you.
Oh, please, yeah. So follow me on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/in/Avi Gandhi, Gandhi, and creatorlogic.com, where I interview creators about how they run their businesses, write about the economics of the creator economy, and generally try to be half as helpful as Justin has just been.
Live from VidCon, we out.